Hello and a warm welcome to the mega episode of Sri Ram Vijay Granth lecture series. Today we are going to deal with chapter 40 and then we will conclude at 45. So the big day is here. We are celebrating the 75th Independence Day of India. And what can be more great and grand on this big day than hearing to the pastimes of the Lord Sri Ram, under whose rule everyone, everyone was happy, and all of us dream for Ram Rajyam, isn't it? So, towards making India a Ram Rajyam, at least we will not be able to make it like the Supreme Lord, but we can definitely take those initiatives. We can borrow those administrative policies from those eras and we can surely implement them in the current society and we can definitely have a brighter future. On this 75th Independence Day, let us, by taking Lord Ram's name, by remembering sincerely the lotus feet of Lord Sri Sainath Maharaj, begin the 14th episode. Sri Ram Vijay Granth lecture series begins now. With the humble dedication and by conveying our obeisances to the feet of Lord Sri Sainath Maharaj, we start celebrating the Independence Day today, and besides that, we move on to the 40th Adhyay of Ram Vijay Granth. Now, on the previous Adhyayas, what we have read is about like Kumbhakarna coming to the battlefield and then he attacked on the monkeys. Besides, not only he attacked them, besides attacking them, he devoured many of the monkeys, and Kumbhakarna was so huge, his body was several yojans in length. So some of the monkeys could escape, and some of the monkeys were instantly killed. And all the monkeys, they were highly powerful, and with their valor and courage, they fought with Kumbhakarna. And ultimately, what we saw is Sugriv, he attacked Kumbhakarna and he disfigured his entire face. So after Kumbhakarna he returned to Lanka, Ravana ordered his barber to bring the mirror in front of Kumbhakarna so that he could see his face. When he saw the mirror, he was baffled. He was totally confused of what had happened. He couldn't figure out what happened in the battlefield. Ultimately, with great rage, Kumbhakarna again returned to the battlefield. So this was a quick recap of what we had learned or listened to about in the past episode. In today's episode, let us check what happened in the battlefield after Kumbhakarna returned. So in the meantime, now Vibhishan, he went to fight with his brother Kumbhakarna. When Kumbhakarna said, "You are a great scoundrel. Do you know who I am? I am your brother. You are treacherous. You have joined our enemies. I should have killed you on this spot, but as there will be no one left behind us to perform our funeral ceremonies, hereby I spare your life and command you to leave this place immediately. Do not show me your face again." So, having heard these words from the mouth of Kumbhakarna, Vibhishan immediately disappeared from the spot. Kumbhakarna then rushed upon Ram. When Ramji he let off arrows at him. So we can see him letting off arrows at Kumbhakarna. There is a big fight going on. But all the arrows which were let off by Lord Sri Ram were broken by the demon, were all destroyed by the demon. Lastly, the prince discharged a deadly arrow at him and cut off his hands with it. Now both his hands were cut off. And with other arrows, his feet, trunk, and head were cut off. On receiving the news of the fall of Kumbhakarna in the field, Ravana much grieved for him. So Kumbhakarna ultimately died. when Ravana was bemoaning his loss. At that time, Indrajit came and he consoled his father. Immediately after, Atikaya, the second son of Ravana, with other warriors, bravely attacked the army of Ram and shot a great number of monkeys. But at last, Lakshman killed him with his arrow. Ravana much lamented for him. When Indrajit consoled his father, having washed his body with blood of human beings, cows, performed a penance, his goddess was pleased with him and presented him with a chariot, horses, and weapons. He seated himself on the chariot and jumped into the sky. Now, Indrajit, he attacked the army of Lord Ram. After consoling his father, he performed a severe penance, and after he got all the paraphernalia for war, he attacked the army. He seated himself on the chariot, jumped into the sky, and having hid himself in the clouds, he let off arrows at the monkeys and killed almost all of them. Even Ram and Lakshman were struck with his arrows. My God, what a dangerous situation it was. The demon prince now again returned to Lanka with success. Now, in order to give life to the monkeys, now Maruti went to a mountain called Dronagiri. He went to Dronagiri, which was full of medicinal plants. For some time, he stood at the foot of the mountain, entreating him to accompany him to Suvela. So Hanumanji, at the beginning, he requested the Dronagiri mountain that please accompany me, please come with me to Suvela, the place of war, and please resurrect the monkeys with medicinal plants. The mountain said, "Be gone, you fool! I am not expected to accompany you to Suvela. Depart from this place." Maruti got indignant as the insolence of the mountain had flared his anger. Having lifted him up with his tail, he brought him to Suvela. He lifted the mountain with his tail, and the mountain was brought to Suvela by the odor of the medicinal plants of the mountain. So they did not even uproot any plant or any leaf, any medicinal thing from the mountain. The mere odor of the medicinal plants on the mountain helped all the monkeys and Ram and Lakshman to heal their wounds. So as the smell of the medicinal plants, they entered through the nostrils of the monkeys and Lord Sri Ram and Lakshman falling on the battlefield. They were healed by the mere smell. So at those times, there were such powerful medicinal plants available, and Dronagiri was one of those mountains. And soon after they entered Lanka, they set fire to it. Now, after all of them being resurrected, after getting back their lives, they attacked Lanka and they set fire to it. Whereupon Ravana sent the demons Jang, Prachang, Krochen, Nikumbha, and others to oppose them and quench the fire. The demons let off a rain weapon which produced water and quenched the fire. By his mantra, Indrajit then created a female called Kritya and jumped with her into the sky. Hiding himself behind her back, he let off arrows at the monkeys and killed many of them. When Ram, at the suggestion of the wind, let off the weapon called Agni Astra, which cut off the female. Whereupon Indrajit immediately came down, and having defeated by the army of Ram with heavy loss, he returned to Lanka. So it was a deadly battle going on between the two parties. The monkeys were alarmed, and Maruti, he maintained the entire battlefield at that time. Now we begin with Adhyay 41. Now the battle takes a serious turn from here. And as we proceed with the further adhyayas, we will be able to see about the bravery acts performed by Hanuman, his contributions to this great battle. So to begin with chapter 41, at this time Indrajit created by his mantras a woman exactly like Sita. So the woman, she looked exactly, her face resembled with that of Sita Mata. And having seated her on his chariot, he came to the field and loudly said, in the hearing of all the monkeys, "You see, on account of this wretched woman, my father has suffered much. If her head is cut off, everything will end in peace, and there will be no war." So saying, he cut off the head of the woman, and immediately he went to his country. His country's name was Nikumbala. So there he went and he performed penance with a view to get from the deity of fire or Agni Dev a Divya Rath. So a Divya Rath is a beautiful, fine and charming chariot with horses and weapons. He entered a solitary place and posting demons to watch it, to guard it rather, he began to perform the penance. Indrajit, now while he was performing penance, Indrajit in this entire procedure, he killed many Brahmins and cows as a sacrifice, and polishing his body with their blood, seated himself upon corpses and carcasses and made an oblation to the fire deity. He offered the deity of fire or Agni Dev the heads of Brahmins and cows. Now Agni Dev, having been pleased with him, half of the Yagya fire, the Divya Ratha, came out of the Havan. So uh, the 50% of the Divya Rath which he was praying for, he wanted a Divya Rath, a chariot with all the facilities, like the present military tanks. But those were transcendental chariots. It was a chariot blessed by Agnidev. So 50% of the chariot it came out, the Divya Rath. So Maruti believed that the woman whose head was cut off was Sita. And everyone, not only Maruti, but everyone who were present in the battlefield, they thought that the female whose head was cut off by Indrajit, it was Mata Sita. And they communicated the sad news to Ram and Lakshman, which disheartened and disappointed all of them. They were very much dejected and sad. In the meantime, Vibhishan came and informed Ram and the monkeys that Sita was safe in the Ashoka forest and that the Sita whom they saw, whose head was cut off by Indrajit, was created by him with his mantras. So Indrajit was a very powerful demon. He could use the mantras and he could create various types of things, whichever things he wanted. He also informed them of the penance. Now Vibhishan informed them that he is performing a penance. Half of the Divyarath has already come out of the fire, and if the whole chariot comes out, you will not be able to conquer Indrajit. I therefore advise you to go to Nikumbala as soon as possible and destroy the Havan, so that the chariot may disappear and not come to the hands of the demon prince. I also tell you that as soon as you destroy the Havan, he will be desperate to fight with you. But no one will be able to kill him unless he has observed a fast for 12 years. So for 12 long years. Now Indrajit had got a benediction that he would not be killed by any person. Nobody could kill him. Only a person who has observed a fast for 12 years will be able to kill him. So this was a condition laid by Vibhishan. So who is worthy of this thing? Who is that person who had observed a fast for 12 years? Listening to what Vibhishan had said, Ram made a sign to Lakshman, who had observed fast for 14 years, and he bade him to go with Maruti, Sugriv, and other monkeys to Nikumbala to destroy the Havan and kill Indrajit. Lakshman accordingly went with them to Nikumbala and destroyed the chariot and the Havan. They were successful in doing that. The noise of the monkeys aroused Indrajit, who was in deep meditation, and finding that the Havan was destroyed, he was furious. And then Indrajit let off arrows at them. He let off a rain weapon. Now, this rain weapon, it flooded the entire army of Lakshman. It brought a flood over there. The prince discharged a wind weapon, which produced the wind and dispersed the rain. Indrajit stopped the wind by a mountain weapon, which produced innumerable mountains. When Lakshman let off a diamond weapon, which produced diamonds, it broke the mountains. So this was a deadly, serious war going on. And the listeners can certainly imagine what were the situations which were being faced in the battlefield at that time. There was sudden change in the entire landscape, there was sudden change in weather, and whatnot was coming out of the weapons let off by both the parties. Indrajit let off a fire weapon now, which produced fire and began to burn the army of Lakshman. When Lakshman discharged a sea weapon, which produced volumes of water. Sea, as the name suggests, it is full of water, unlimited water rather, and it extinguished the fire. Indrajit lastly let off 5 arrows and struck Lakshman with thorn when Vibhishan threw his gada at the demon prince. So Vibhishan was also present on the spot, who cut it off and struck his uncle with 5 arrows. Now Vibhishan also was attacked by 5 arrows. At last, Lakshman let off a deadly arrow and broke his head with it, and his chariot was broken, horses killed by Jambavant. The horses of the chariot were killed by Jambavant. Indrajit, however, fought alone on the ground when all the monkeys threw at him innumerable mountains, rocks, and trees at one and the same time, but he broke them with his arrows in no time. He then jumped into the sky and, hiding himself in the clouds, let off arrows at Lakshman. So Indrajit, he was still fighting the war. He was in the battlefield alone, totally alone, without any army. But on the other side, Lakshman, Vibhishan, Maruti, Sugriv, Jambavan, and almost the entire army of monkeys was there on the side of Lakshman. But Indrajit was such a brave hero or a demon that he was a great warrior. It's wrong to say him a hero because he was on the wrong team. So he was on the path of untruthfulness. So we are not supposed to call him a hero. We will call him a warrior. He was a great and strong warrior who was fighting with the entire army of Lakshman alone. So at that time, Maruti placed Lakshman on the palm of his hand and lifted him up in the sky. As Indrajit was hiding behind the clouds, Lakshman was also taken up to the same level. Hanuman did it. Whereupon the demon prince came down, when Maruti again brought Lakshman to the ground. They fought for some time on the ground, but at last Lakshman cut off with his arrows the thighs, arms, and the head of his enemy. Ultimately, he was shot dead. With this, we begin with the 42nd Adhyay of Ram Vijay. One of the arms of the demon prince, when cut off, fell down in the compound of the palace of his wife Sulochana. Now, this Sulochana was a daughter of Shesha, Ananta Shesha, and the monkeys carried off the head to their camp with exultation. Ram rejoiced at the success And he told the monkeys to preserve the head and hand it over to a woman who would come to ask for it. So Ramji, as he knew the entire past, present, and future, he warned the monkeys not to tamper with the head and to store it because somebody is going to come for searching for it. So Sulochana came out of her room, and as soon as she identified her husband's arm, she took it up in her hands and lamented over it. She said to the arm with tears in her eyes, "My love, just let me know how you were killed. If I am faithful to you, let this arm of yours write a short account of the battle you had fought with Ram." So saying, she placed a piece of paper, a pen, and inkstand before the arm. So Indrajit, he was a great warrior. He was he had many siddhis with him. He was a great yogi who had got many benedictions and who was not supposed to die by any ordinary mortal in this earth. So hence he being a very powerful and elevated soul, what he did was he had those powers to move his limbs even after death. So, and on the other hand, Sulochana, being a very pious lady, being a very dedicated wife, she took a test of her uh, pativrata or the devotion towards her husband. She said that you write an account of the entire battle by this arm, the cut off arm. So saying, she arranged for all the paraphernalia. And the arm wrote the full account of the battle and informed her that the monkeys carried off his head to Suvela. As soon as Sulochana read the account, she grieved much and placed the arm and paper before her father-in-law Ravana. Ravan read the letter and fainted away because his brave son was dead. When Mandodari came out of her room, now Mandodari is Ravan's wife. She came out of her room and hearing the sad news of the fall of her brave son, she violently cried and wept. Now Sulochana said, "I am going to burn myself with my beloved Indrajit. I therefore implore you to get his head back from the monkeys." At the entreaties of his daughters-in-law, the demon was saddened and pitied her. At the same time, he was boiled with rage at the monkeys and explained, "Daughter, I shall get the head back. Rest assured. I will now fight with Ram and never return unless I kill him." So exclaiming, he ordered his courtiers to make preparations for march against the prince. Now Ravan, he was himself going to fight. Then Mandodari said to Sulochana, "There is no necessity for fighting with Ram. If you go to him alone, he will give the head to you as he is very kind." Ravana said, "She is helpless. What if anybody commits outrage upon her?" "There is not a single monkey with Ram," replied Mandodari, "who will covet another's wife." So Mandodari assured Ravana that in Ram's army there was no such monkey, such mischievous, that they will kill your uh, daughter-in-law. All the monkeys are very generous, they are pious, they are servants, they are devotees of Lord Ram. Hence, they are not going to attack a woman in isolation. You don't worry. So, as soon as Mandodari said these words, Ravana hid his face with shame and confusion because he had coveted another's wife and he allowed Sulochana to go alone to Suvela. Sulochana came to the camp of the monkeys. When the monkeys took her to Ram, she said to the prince, "I am the wife of Indrajit and have come here to carry the head of my husband, as I am going to burn myself with him. I therefore implore you to give it to me." "How did you know that the head of your husband was carried off by us?" asked the monkeys. Sulochana told them what had happened, but the monkeys said to her, "We cannot believe what you say. It is impossible that a lifeless arm can write. Here is the head of your husband, and if you were faithful to him, just make it laugh." So the monkeys were not testing her faithfulness. That you are saying that you had made an arm, a dead arm, write something. So now here is the head of your husband. Make it laugh. We also want to see your faithfulness towards your husband. And then we will be convinced of what you say, said the monkeys. Whereupon Sulochana, embracing the head, said, "My love, I am now in difficulty. These monkeys have met here together to judge my fidelity towards you. And if your head does not laugh, they will look upon me as a vile woman." Sulochana tried her utmost to make the head laugh, but it did not listen to her. At last she said, "I made a great mistake. If I had called my father Shesha to help you, nothing could have been done to you." So now Sulochana said to Indrajit that I have made a great mistake. If I could have taken assistance from my father Shesh, Ananta Sheshanag of Lord Vishnu, then nothing could have happened to you. You would be still alive. And the head laughed heartily. Now the head started laughing, the cut off head, lifeless head. Why it laughed? What is the mystery? Asked the monkeys. Now let me solve the mystery for the listeners. Sulochana is the daughter of Shesha. Now Ramji came forward, he said the same words to the monkeys. Sulochana is the daughter of Shesha. And Lakshman is an incarnation of Shesha. Shesha, since Lord Ram was an incarnation of Lord Vishnu, we all know that Lakshmanji, he was the incarnation of the Ananta Sheshanag, who was a protector of Lord Vishnu, who always stayed with Lord Vishnu wherever he was. So he manifested himself as Lakshman. So the head laughed because his father-in-law has himself killed his own son-in-law. Because directly speaking, Shesha had himself killed his own son-in-law. So on hearing on the fact, when Sulochana said that I would have called my father Shesha for your help, the head laughed that your father has only killed me. So no sooner did Ram inform the monkeys of this that Lakshman, much grieved for his son-in-law. Lakshman, on knowing that he had killed his own son-in-law, he grieved much. Indrajit, when the former pacified and consoled him, saying that he would uh, give a second life to the demon prince. Now, Lord Ram, he said that Lakshman, you are lamenting for the loss of life of your son-in-law. So, shall I give him a new life? But if he wished him to do so. So, Ram said that if you so wish that your son-in-law must be revived, I can give him another life. But at the entreaties of the monkeys, Ram did not give a new life to Indrajit. The monkeys then handed the head over to Sulochana, which she took and brought on the seashore near Lanka, and there she arranged a pile of wood, and having set fire to it, she burned herself with the head. Now Ravana, who was present there with his family, according to the custom, they were present in front of the burning pyre, and they were deeply affected at the sight, and returned home with much grief. And with this, we conclude chapter 42 and we begin with chapter 43. Ravana now was in a confused state of mind and did not know what to do. When his minister Vidya advised him to write a letter to his uncles Ahiravana and Mahiravana in Patal, whereupon the demon king wrote to them, called them to see him at his palace, and informed them of his misfortune and distress. When Ahiravan and Mahiravan, they encouraged him and said, "You need not be alarmed. We shall carry off Ram and Lakshman to Patal today at midnight and sacrifice them to our goddess. The ministers of Vibhishan overheard what had passed between Ravan and the demons and communicated it to their master. Vibhishan's servants, his commanders, were there in the court of Ravana. They had heard the entire discussion and they conveyed the same to Vibhishana. Whereupon Vibhishan told Maruti, Nal, Neel, Sugriv, and other monkeys to guard Ram and Lakshman during the night. All the monkeys therefore made a fortification of their tails and placing it on the princes on a cot guarded them. So they laid Ram and Lakshman on a cot and all the monkeys started guarding them. At midnight, Ahiravan and Mahiravan came there and were greatly surprised at the curious fortification. That how come they are so much prepared? How did they know that we are going to kidnap them tonight? Now, but there being no way to get in, they excavated the earth. Now they started digging an underground tunnel, and through that excavation they carried off the princes with the cot to Mahikavati in Patal, where they put them in trance and confined them in a house. They had posted 20 kotis of demons under the command of Makardhwaj to watch the mouth of the excavation, which was near the sea in Patal. So they had dug the ground till Patal and they had carried off Ram and Lakshman. At the dawn of the day, all the monkeys at Suvela went to visit Ram when they found that to their great surprise that the entire cot had disappeared with Ram and Lakshman. They saw the excavation and the footprints of the demons from which they concluded that the demons had carried off the princess through that hollow. All the monkeys were greatly alarmed and did not know what to do. But in the meantime, Vibhishan came and told them not to make a noise about it, because if Ravana knew of their position, he would attack them and kill all of them in no time. So please, whatever you all are doing, please do it in secrecy by maintaining secrecy. Do not make so much noise. The monkeys then with Vibhishana met together, asked Maruti whether he could go through the excavation and trace the whereabouts of Ram and Lakshman. Even at the risk of my life, I will get Ram and Lakshman back, replied Maruti. Having thus spoken, Maruti entered the excavation with Nal, Neel, Angad, and Jambavant and went through it to the seashore half dead. They were almost half dead because of the shortage of oxygen inside the tunnel. And it was a very big and deep tunnel rather. When they refreshed themselves with a fresh breeze, looking at the large numbers of the demons, they disguised themselves as fakirs because 20 kotis of demons were being posted. So they disguised themselves as mendicants or fakirs and asked the monsters to show them the way which led to Mahikavati. So now, with this, we begin with chapter 44. They had got the traces of the demons, now they were in front of the huge security that was led by Ahiravan and Mahiravan. The demons did not listen to them and prevented them from proceeding further when Maruti got indignant and threw them into the sea with his tail. Makardhwaj was greatly incensed and he combated with Maruti, but Maruti flung him down and sat on his chest. So now there was a fight between Maruti and Makardhwaj. Makardhwaj was the Dwarpal or the security in charge of the Mahikavati and he fought with Hanuman. He was flung down by Hanuman and Hanuman sat on the chest of Makardhwaj. So now Makardhwaj was alarmed. Maruti called upon him to name the espouser of his cause. So now Makardhwaj replied, if my father Maruti were here, he would kill you and save my life. Now, As soon as the demon mentioned the name of Maruti, Maruti was startled and getting up from his chest asked, "My name is Maruti. I am a brahmachari. So, and how do you say that I am your father? Just give me an account of how you were born to me." So now Makardhwaj said that you are beating me like this mercilessly. If my father Maruti would have been here, he would have killed you and he would have saved my life. So Maruti said, "Arey, ye kaun hai?" He is referring me as his father. So let me ask him, how did he say? Because I am a brahmachari, a celibate, a sannyasi. How could I give birth to a child? So now Makardhwaj started narrating the entire incident, how he was born. "When you burnt Lanka," replied Makardhwaj, "you threw into the sea your sweat. So your sweat drops fell into the sea, which my mother, a Magari means an alligator, she swallowed up, and of that sweat I was born to you." Maruti was astonished at the account given by Makardhwaj and blessed him when Magari came to see the monkey and said to him, "When you came here last time, you had a large size, but I now find that your form is very small. I doubt whether you are that Maruti whom I had seen." Whereupon Maruti, he assumed his former form and removed her doubt. He then acquainted her with what had happened to Ram. And when she said, "Ahiravan and Mahiravan are two brothers. They are wicked and treacherous demons. I know that they have carried off Ram and Lakshman to Mahikavati and they will sacrifice them to their goddess tomorrow. I therefore advise you to go and hide yourself in the temple of the goddess, where you will find both the princes." "And have patience," replied Maruti. "I will kill all the demons and give Mahikavati to your son." "Mahikavati," continued the Magari, "it is at a distance of 13 yojans. To reach there, you will have to cross a vast sea, which you will not be able to do. I therefore beg you to sit with your companions in my mouth, and I will convey you to that place." Nal, Neel, Angad, and Jambavant were afraid, as they thought that the Magari might swallow them up on the way up to Mahikavati. They just did not trust the Magari. They therefore refused her kind offer and stayed on the seashore, while Maruti alone jumped over the sea and immediately reached Mahikavati. Here ends chapter 44 of Ram Vijay. Now we start with the final or concluding chapter 45. Now, after reaching Mahikavati, there Hanuman became as small as an atom and entered the temple of the goddess. As soon as he saw the goddess, he put her into a drain and, assuming her form, sat in her place. The goddess was frightened and did not speak a word for fear of life. The goddess knew that she was attacked by Maruti, the incarnation of Lord Shiva, the great warrior, the servant devotee of Lord Ram. The demons, as usual, made offerings to the goddess. Now, who was disguised as the goddess? It was none other than Lord Hanuman. So, what did they offer to the goddess? The offerings consisted of boiled rice, milk, butter, and other things, which Maruti swallowed up to his heart's content and loudly said to the demons, "I am very much pleased with you because you have brought today Ram and Lakshman for my tiffin. Let me have them. Do not open the doors of the temple because you will not be able to bear my power and lustre. I therefore command you to make an opening to one of the walls of the temple, push them in through it, so that I may devour them with a great relish. Do not kill them." So, Hanumanji, he played such a beautiful strategy and he informed them that I was pleased with your service, and please, now as you have made the sacrifices ready, Lord Ram and Lakshman, don't kill them. I will eat them up, but make sure you bolt the doors. You don't come in, because otherwise you will not be able to bear my shine, my lustre, my immense power, and nobody must see them being eaten by me. So by the so until I completely devour them with great relish, nobody must enter this room. It was a great plan indeed. So now, believing that the goddess was much pleased with them, Ahiravan and Mahiravan removed the trance from Ram and Lakshman and brought them to the temple as directed by the goddess. They made an opening to one of the walls of the temple and pushed them in through it. Ram and Lakshman were frightened at the sight of the goddess, who opened her big mouth and said to them, I shall now devour you, as I am very hungry. But before I do that, name the espouser of your cause. Whereupon uh, Lord Ram and Lakshman, they replied, if Maruti were here, he would come to our rescue. We are now helpless and throw ourselves on your mercy. Maruti was now moved with pity that they love me so much. Even when they are seeing that I am absent, they are remembering me. So he immediately disclosed his identity to them. I am now without weapons, said Lord Ram, and how can I kill the demons with them? You need not be afraid, continued Maruti. I shall get your weapons here. So saying, he brought the weapons and dhanushvans from Suvela. As princes were hungry, Maruti gave them to eat the butter and other things which he had preserved for them. He being a devotee, how could he eat the dainty dishes offered to him without offering them to Lord Ram? So he had kept them. He had preserved them for Lord Ram and Lakshman, and he gave them those dishes to eat. After they had appeased their hunger, he sat in the place of the goddess, hiding Lord Ram and Lakshman behind his back, and he loudly exclaimed, I am now ready to bless all my beloved demons one by one. Let Ahiravan come in first. Ahiravan now was extremely glad, as the goddess wanted him first, and without loss of time he went in and stood before the deity, who trampled him under his foot and instantly killed him. We can see in the picture displayed on the screen that how Lord Maruti is killing Ahiravana. So now he one demon was now killed. So now the entire thing, the entire setup was changed. Another demon was still alive. So without loss of time, he came in and he was killed. Now, as Ahiravan still did not come out for some time, the other demons outside the temple apprehended that there must be something wrong in the temple and began to make enquiries about Ahiravan. When Maruti broke open the doors of the temple and killed a great number of demons with his tail. Having been informed that his brother was killed by Maruti, Ram and Lakshman, Mahiravan commenced to fight with them. Now Mahiravan, on getting the death news of his only brother, he came out to fight with Maruti. So now he let off arrows after arrows at his enemies, but they cut them off and let off an arrow and killed the demon with it. But to their great surprise, they found that every drop of the blood of Mahiravan produced one Mahiravan. So each drop, he was like Rakta Bij. One drop of his blood would create another Mahiravan. So Now there was a challenging situation in front of the trio, the holy trio, Lord Ram, Lakshman and Hanuman. As they shot off weapons, as they killed one Mahiravan, thousands and thousands of other Mahiravans were being born. So this was a challenging situation now. So uh, Ram killed all the Mahiravans now, produced by all the drops of first Mahiravan. Now, so many Mahiravans further created innumerable Mahiravans. Thus, the more Rama killed the Mahiravans, the more they were produced. One Mahiravan was killed and thousands of other Mahiravans were being produced from the same Mahiravan. And when thousands of Mahiravans were killed, millions of Mahiravans were being created. So, with this suspense, rather, we conclude the 45th chapter in 45 minutes of Shri Ram Vijay Granth. So, in this episode of 45 minutes, we concluded the 45th chapter. In the upcoming episodes, in the next episode, we will see the challenging war, the war between Hanuman and Mahiravan. With one drop of his blood, another Mahiravan was being created. A challenge stood in front of the trio. Let us see what happens in the next episode. Till then, Om Sai Ram to all the devotees and warm greetings of Independence Day once again. Thank you so much for watching. Om Sai Ram.